Most of the times, we forget that the most important thing is what is inside of us, who we are, how we develop, and how we face each situation in our lives. Welcome to Clichés Reinvented, Reinventing Life's Clichés, a space where I'm going to share information, thoughts, and insights to help us both live a life in consciousness. These are reflections that have helped me with my personal growth and have helped me to live happier and more conscious. This is why now I want to share them with you. I want to thank you for being here today and taking the time to listen to this podcast. Thank you for being here with me and with yourself. So, personal growth is forgotten. Nowadays, people live way too fast. We live too fast. We live maybe in a superficial way, we can say. Even children, we live in a time where the world goes faster and faster than ever, where everything evolves at 1,000 miles per second. And well, all of this is due to the environment in which we live. Technological advances, which have undoubtedly brought progress and many advances for our entire society. However, the problem is that many of us have sometimes let ourselves be carried away by all of these huge advancements. By the high speed of the world, that we forget what is truly important: living, living in well being, living our own life. It's actually that personal growth lies on. Personal growth is the development of ourselves, of our soul, of our being. Growing can be compared to an improvement, like a little seed. It starts small, but little by little, with different cares, it grows until it becomes a beautiful flower. This does not mean that the only stage that matters is when the flower has already bloomed. No, like all the phases of the process are just as important. Without them, the flower would have never bloomed, and sometimes we focus our attention on the result and ignore the whole process that comes behind it. And the same thing happens with our personal growth. Just like a flower, with the necessary cares and attentions, we can become just one. Sometimes we forget that we need special cares and that don't have much to do with what is outside or around us, but rather it has to do with what is inside of us. Just as we should take care of our physical health, because, it's not a secret for anyone that if you neglect your physical health with bad habits, without exercising your body, at some point disease will come into your life, whether you like it or not, because it is what we have grown. So however, mental health is just as important as physical health. So what happens with mental health is that many of us stay halfway, or we do not really realize that we are a seed that is going to grow, and whether it grows well, healthy, beautiful, and strong depends just on us, on the care we give to ourselves. In today's society, personal growth has been left behind, as with less importance, even in education. Thanks God, in my school, I always received classes such as emotional intelligence, ethics, philosophy, but in many educational environments these are put in second instance, or they don't even exist. So they are not given the importance and relevance that they have, especially for all these little brains, these lives that are being formed, that are developing themselves. I'm here referring to the little kids that sooner or later, they will come out and show the world and themselves who they truly are, what they're capable of, and the way they were educated. So with some luck, there will be some who will come out and crash into reality that sooner or later will make them realize how important it was to take care of themselves, work on their personal growth, put themselves as a priority and not as a second option. But it can also it happens that too many others, like that many others, even though they crash with life, because we all crash with lives, like we have all like this crisis in our lives, like in different levels, but it just happens to all of us. So in this crash, like they will never stop to think about the need there is, the need of the soul to improve and work on themselves, because in the end it ends up being a necessity, like to focus on our personal growth and on our own development. Like it is a necessity because we need it. I know I'm being like I'm saying the same thing, but it is like what our soul needs to develop, to progress, to be able to live our life, live a life in our own way, in balance, like learn what we came to learn, including learning to live in well-being, learning to find order in disorder, like learn to know each other so we can live our own life. The problem is kind of big, like, and it's not that I'm making it up or something like that. Like you go out into the world, into social media, it obviously depends on what you follow on social media. Like you can organize it, like you build it up for yourself, but how, whatever. So in social media, the news and everything is tragedy, like everything is superficial, everything is conflict, everyone is ready to defend their opinions till death. Like no one goes beyond things. A large majority have never thought about their lives, like stop to think like about who they are, what are they here for, like being aware. We may not have the answers for this, and yeah, this takes time, but the most important thing is to have questioned ourselves. It is to have stopped for a second to think about it, because we may not know it yet, and that's fine, like that's normal, but the fact of never having questioned, that's the problem. And when you question your life, that's the beginning. And the thing is that it's not even our fault. Like the fact that we haven't done it, it's not our fault. We can't blame ourselves for never having thought about this. Like no, like of course not. Starting because it's nobody's fault. This has been like a product of the environment in which we've grown up. If we were born into a family, like as in my case, where my mother in recent years talked and talked about personal and spiritual growth, then it's of course easier for these issues to come into our lives and to think about it. But if we have grown up in an environment in which it has never, ever been given the least importance to really see how people feel, to take care of your well being, to ask ourselves if we are truly happy with our lives, to go beyond the superficial things, then it's more than normal, than okay that we have never thought about it. Personal growth like should be in an area of education for all people in this planet. But the funniest thing is that right now like it's available for everyone. But that but today we need like this type of motivation, like this motivation, this stimuli is needed. The one that shows you, that makes you think like, hey, yeah, like life can be different. I can change my life. Like life can become something more than what it is today. Like what I feel, what I live today, and yes, it can. Like it can be something more and it can completely change. It can be much better, but it depends on each one of us, whether we take the step or not. And it's just a step, a change of view, the change of lens, like changing our perspective at least 1 degree to see and realize the world and the huge amount of possibilities that are behind personal growth. On the other hand, there are those of us who knows that personal growth is something important, but and that we should pay a little more attention to it, but that there comes a point where we forget it. Like once we had some eye opening or some reflection situation that, yeah, like it could open the door to our personal and spiritual growth. But then, like, we have this one day, but the next second, like, it comes back and it remains in the background. And the problem is that we forget to improve. Like, we forget that this growth process is not something that happens overnight. Like, it's just like a bonsai. Like, I can connect it to this because it can last for many years if it is not neglected or killed. This is how it happens with our personal growth and also the spiritual one. Like, it is a constant process of every single day. That every day we are going to be a little better than yesterday, of opening ourselves to new possibilities every single day, of being grateful every single day. And it is not that one week I do it and the next one I return to my normal superficial life and I forget about it. Then what, like, guess what happens? Like, the flowers withers, like it's dead. However, it is never too late to return and to giving all the care like it needs. No matter how many times we need to come back, the real important thing is to not forget to come back. It is more than clear that this will only be understood and reflected upon by the ones who are really interested in their personal growth, or the ones who see kind of a meaning in it, and like the person who sees the need of it in his or her own life. Because, like, it can make you feel better. But the one who doesn't, well, the one who doesn't see this, well, he or she will not even bother to determine it. Like, it's okay too, it's fine. Like, each one carries their own process, their own times. But in such a case, like, it is important that we know that there is a world of tools to start working on our personal growth. Especially with little ones, with teenagers, many of us can feel lost. However, the fact that someone tells us that it's normal to feel lost, to feel bad, but that there is also a whole world of light full of tools of information and knowledge that we can use for our own well-being, and that it's completely different from the one that we have today, and that it is not bad to see life with other eyes. It is important and necessary as well. How many adults who manage to internalize this information over the years do not say, like, oh, how much I would have liked to know this before, or like rather really internalize this before. Like, one of those is certainly my mom. And well, the reality is that they incorporate this information in their life at the moment they had to do it, and at the moment that it was meant to be. And if you're listening to this, like, it's not coincidence that you're listening to this now. And this, like, eye-opening phase, it doesn't happens like before or after. It just happens when it has to. But in any case, it is important to know that there is something more, and to transmit it to everyone and to the little ones. Like, if you have this information, it's important to tell them and give them an education where their growth and personal and spiritual well being are a priority. Because everything is in education, education for adults, for the little ones, and for all of in between. Thank you for arriving to the end of this chapter. Hope you enjoy it and have a nice and blessed day. Bye.